Now we're going to take a look at the basics of percents. A percent is simply another abbreviated way to write a fraction. In this case, the denominator is always um, over 100. Percent comes to Latin phrase from the Latin phrase percentum, which means parts of 100. The first thing we talk about is writing a percent as a decimal. To write a percent as a decimal, move the decimal 2.2 places to the left and drop the percent sign. So I have 50%. I shift the decimal point 2 places to the left and drop the percent sign here. So I have 0.5. Another one here, I have 3%. I move it 2 places to the left and drop my percent sign, so I have 0.03. Writing a decimal as a percent, or to write a decimal as a percent, move the decimal point 2 places to the right and attach a percent sign. So I move it to the decimal point is here, so I shift it over 2 places and attach the percent sign. Makes it 75%. Here I have 3.6. I shift it over 2 places to the right and attach my percent sign, 360%. Next one here is writing a fraction as a percent. So as a fraction here, it's going to be some portion of 100. So I'll take my fraction here, instead of equal to some portion over 100. And then I go ahead and solve for p. And the p, whatever the p is, that's my percent. And I cross multiply and divide. So 2/5 is the same thing as 40%. Now, not every fraction is going to be as pretty as that. And in a lot of cases, it's a good idea to memorize some certain repeating percents. 33 and a third is the same thing. Percent is the same thing as just 1/3. Mm-hmm. Um, 66 and 2/3 is the same thing as 2/3. It's easier to go ahead and memorize these fractions here. 33 and a third percent is the same thing as 1/3. 16 and 2/3 is the same thing as 1/6. Okay. The reason being is that because when it comes to putting repeating, we can't put repeating decimals, and we cannot enter repeating decimals into our calculators. However, I can put 1/3 into the calculator, and it knows exactly what I mean. Because if I try to put it in a repeating, it what'll happen is it'll take the 5.33333, and then it'll truncate to put zeros right after it. It doesn't understand repeating decimals that way. You got to put them in as a fraction to show this repeating. Okay. Now here's a percent proportion here. Part is to whole as percent is to 100. Part is to whole as percent is to 100. Now we have examples here we can use to solve for. Examples. Use the percent proportion to solve for unknown value. Part, whole, find the percent. So part is 30, the whole is 50. So I fill in replace my variables with values, and I solve for x, find the percent. I end up cross multiplying and dividing. So I have 3 times 100 is equal to 5x, and dividing by 5. X is equal to 60. However, in this case, 60 is not our final answer. You have to remember that they're asking for a percent, so we got to put that percent sign in. Now this one here asks about, we have a percent here is 83 and a third percent, and we have our part, and they say find the whole. So I have my percent and my part, and I plug in. My percent is right there, 83 and a third, and my part is 13.5, and it wants to find the whole. So this would be kind of messy to work with here. You have a fraction divided by a fraction. So if you remember our equivalents, 83 and a third over 100 is the same thing as 5/6. How you could do the math on this, but that would take time and get it down to 5/6. But it's easier just to go ahead and memorize it. That is 5/6. So from here, I can go ahead and just cross multiply and divide, and x is 16.2. Now, there's also identifying the percent or whole in a percent problem. The percent part appears with the word percent or with the symbol of 4%. The whole often appears after the word of. The whole is the entire quantity or total. The part is a portion of the total. So, if the percent and the whole are found first, the remaining number is the part. Here's some examples here. Identify percent, whole, and the part in the following. So you can see the percent has the percent there. The part that comes after of is the whole. So if they're known, then whatever is left is the part, which is unknown in this case. Next one here, we have 20 cats is 5% of what number? So the part that comes after of is the whole. Then we have our percent, and whatever is left, that's our part. The part is a portion of the total. If the percent and the whole are found first, the remaining number is the part. In this one, we have what percent of 220 is 33. So the part that comes after of is the whole. And then the percent part is unknown, or x, and whatever is left is the part. Now we're looking at using the percent equation. The part is equal to percent times the whole. So you identify the part and plug it into the equation. So 20%, find 20% of 220 participants. So the part that comes after of is the whole, 220, and we have a percent here. So we put our percent in as a decimal. When you're using the equation here, most of the time you want to put it in as a decimal. And in this case here, whole isn't designated, but the result is going to be the whole. What is it? The result is going to be the part, I mean. Yeah. So we have here our percent times the whole is equal to the part. So the result of this equation is our part, which is 44. 8 balls is 4% of what number of balls? So the part that comes after of is the whole. In that case, it's unknown. That's our x, and times the percent is a decimal. And what's left is our part. Okay, so if you want to find out what our whole is, we can go ahead and divide through by 0.04, and x is 200. Next one here, 13 is what percent of 52? So after of is, that's my whole. The percent is unknown, and 13 is my part. There's my equation there. Is means equal to. Is means equal to. So if I want to solve for x, I can divide both sides by 52. And x is equal to 0.25. But our answer in this case is a percent, so it's going to be 25%. And last one here, it says find 16 and 2/3 of 66. So we have our part that comes after of is our whole, and we have our percent. And whatever's left is our part. So in this case here, 16 and 2/3 percent is the same thing as 1/6. So 1/6 of 66 is 11. Okay.